when.
Okay,
There we go. Way back when we started this, we used to use, the technology wasn't there, so we used phones. And some of you may remember that. We actually started with 30-minute phone calls. And we'd get on the phone. And of course, that was the same thing. Did you record it? And of course, back then, Glow would sure nudge me, okay, make sure you got it recorded, and some of our best sessions, we unfortunately forgot to record them, but we do back them up with notes. So this is session 285. We're finishing up this cycle, but we're going to be starting a new one on February 1st. It's kind of interesting because we were kind of thrown off guard. The people in EPA indicated that the announcements would be done in the first quarter of 2023, so we figured probably, well, okay, January, February or March, which is pretty early for EPA. Sometimes it was later than that. And all of a sudden, second week in January, the announcements were made. It was amazing. It caught us off guard, but we'll talk about that in a second. But we have a few of us on the call. Why don't we introduce each other, because we do like to, because we are a small group, we do like to introduce ourselves, and sometimes we've got some new faces, and have them introduce themselves and to the others. So Steve, you're on my screen first.
Okay, hello everybody, and Happy New Year. Good to see everybody. Haven't seen anybody for like over a month, so it's really good to see you again. I'm Steve Fenton. I work with Mike and Nolan, and I'm based in Venice, Florida. And good to see and hear from you.
And I'm Mike Senyu. I'm the facilitator today, and supported by all the good people that work with us throughout the year. Nolan?
I'm Nolan Curtis. I'm a consultant to HMTRI, working with Mike and Steve off and on probably for the last 25, 30 years. I think we've been doing one version of job training or environmental justice for quite a while. And I'll be having a speaking role at the next session when I put on my environmental safety and health medical operations hat. Good to see everyone. Happy New Year.
Thomas, and they are our special speaker today. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. My name is Jasmine Cooper. I am the Director of Workforce Development at Landforce, and I get to work next to this cool guy.
And I get to work next to Jasmine. So I think we both win, but I win more. We're competitive. I'm Thomas Kettner. I'm the Director of Land Stewardship here at Landforce, and we're happy to be here today and get to talk to you and share a little bit more about our program later.
We'll hear about them in a little bit. And this is actually, congratulations, Thomas. And they are 2023 grantees, 5 years, 500,000. And this is their first re-up, actually. You were a 2021 grantee, and now are going to be with us for our next 5 years. So congratulations. Jessica.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Guzman. I'm from Puerto Rico. I work for Pastor Corporation at Junto, and we have more than one grant from the event. I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time in the meeting. We always have Milady Soto, who always is the one that are in the meetings.
Abby.
Hi, everyone. My name is Abby. I'm the director of the Employment Institute at Auberly. We're in McKeesport, and we are a 4-time EPA grantee.
Fellow Pennsylvanian. Paul.
Hello, Paul Sammons, Director of Strategic Collaboration with Recycleforce, a social enterprise reentry program. So I'm just glad to be part of the team for several years now.
David.
Yes, good morning, afternoon. I'm David Cantu. I'm with the City of San Elizario, and I've been joining these conversations to learn more, possibly partnering up with the Workforce El Paso and the Rio Grande Council of Governments for some kind of project or initiative in the region.
We're going to be working with David this year to get him a grant for the next round coming up. So stick with us. I've got PSE.
Iris Colon from Paston, Puerto Rico.
Thank you. Now, we've got a lot of people who are not coming on, but if you want to turn your audio on when I introduce you, that'd be great. It's up to you. Sarah McKee, if you want to turn your video on, that's great. That'd be fantastic. We'd like to see you.
I'm actually sitting in my car. I don't know if my video, I'm on my phone.
Be careful.
Yeah, I'm parked. I'm staying in the parking lot for the whole time. I'm not driving. I'm from the Sustainable Workplace Alliance. We're in Central Florida. This is our first time getting the job training grant through EPA. We've gotten other grants through EPA and other agencies, but this will be our first time with the job training through EPA.
And they've worked with us. I spent 2.5 hours
next to David.
The people in front of us and behind us they actually said, please, we know everything there is to know about brownfields after that flight from Oklahoma. So, Rachel. Hey, Rachel.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Rachel Mowat. I am now the training specialist for the Dreams Department, and this will be our first year grant with the Brownfields. So we're super excited to get that started.
Fantastic. We're going to be working through that whole program in the coming months here. Candace from FSCC.
Hi, I'm Candace. I'm filling in for Janet Curley, which is away in California. Lucky her. But yeah, I'm just filling in for her. I know we've done the Brownsfield training grant a few years in a row, but this year is going to be the first year I'm going to be participating.
Fantastic. Deshannon.
Hi, I don't know if you can see me. I think I turned on my video. I'm Nancy Shannon. I'm actually a new Brownfields project officer in EPA Region 3, and I'll be working with Gianna Rosati on the job training grants.
Welcome. Let's see, Tricia Doherty from Landforce.
Hi, everybody. I am Trisha. I'm also at Landforce with Jasmine and Thomas. I'm the Operations and Grants Manager, and I'm just excited to hear what everybody is up to in 2023.
Good. Joan Staunton.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joan Staunton. I'm from New York City, and I'm with the New York City Carpenters at the training center here.
Great. And congratulations. We don't have a lot of organized labor organizations, so welcome. Did we get Diane? Diane, are you there? You said something. Is your video not working? Dina Napier, I'm sorry.
Mike, her video and audio are not working.
Okay.
So,
well, welcome, Dina. Karen.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Golvin. I'm the Director of Workforce Development in Southwest Economic Solutions here in Detroit, Michigan.
Great. Let's go with Evan Nelson.
Hey, my name is Evan Nelson. I'm the External Partnership Coordinator at Fulfilled Development, and we're based out of Huntington, West Virginia.
Fantastic. Deborah, I'm sorry.
Hi, Deborah Tavarro, City of Tacoma. Been awarded some grants previously and looking forward to starting up the program and helping folks out with training.
Kudos to the City of Tacoma. The City of Tacoma had 8 re-ups from 2000 to 2018, one of our stars of the show. And then in 2018, someone retired and things went away. Now, you know, this could happen to any of us.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, you know, we miss you for quite a 4 years. And you and I remember talking to people out there, and you were going to reapply. We kind of been rooting for you. Congratulations on coming back to the program.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
and thanks for your support.
Well,
We hope
thank
to do well.
We've got one other program like that, Northwest Regional WIB, that are coming back after hiatus. They were a 3 re-up grantee from 2009 to 2016. The moral of the story is sometimes things in your organizations don't work. Someone leaves, or there's administrative change, economic conditions change, you have to leave. And if there's some institutional memory, you can come back. And it's a great thing about this program. Let's keep going to Ebony. Ebony.
Sorry, my video is not working, but my name is Ebony. I'm with the city of Springfield, and I'm with the Green for Green program. And I'm just here to continue to learn more.
Fantastic, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Lois? Lois Ellis. Okay, we'll come back to Lois. And the next person always gets at all grantee meetings, always gets the prize for traveling the furthest. And this is April from Zender Environmental, all the way back from Alaska. So congratulations. Hey. And hey. Congratulations on your re-up, and well-deserved.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Well, it's pretty exciting. We're pretty excited here. Happy to get to continue doing the work we do with rural Alaska residents. I'm April with Zender Environmental Health and Research Group here in Alaska.
This is one of the toughest grants there is. I mean, you're rural, you speak 300 languages, you're super rural, you've got to fly to your destinations. It's just unbelievable what you're able to do. So we'll be hearing from you in later PLCs, of course. John. Hi, John.
Hey, hi, how are
Popped
you?
up. Good.
This is John Galiotos. I'm the Dean of Workforce Development, Southern University, Louisiana. And I'm also the PI of Region 6 Brownfields Workforce Development Training Project.
Fantastic. Okay. Rita, are you there?
I am here.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. They gave me a new computer and I don't have a camera.
Oh, okay.
But I am EPA Region 6. It includes Texas, Mexico, New Mexico. And 3 of my people are on the line already. I'm so happy. Rachel and John and the one from San Antonio.
Rita is one of our star regional coordinators. Welcome. Katie from Youth Build.
Yes, that's right. We applied for this last round of funding and did not get it, but I'm convinced we will at some point. So I'm just gonna keep listening and keep trying.
Katie, I want to say something, and you know, we're introducing ourselves, but we're also talking about some content here. It's very important that if you're not included in one of these 29 people, don't take it to heart. We had many good applications. Now they grade on the curve, okay, but they take other things in considerations, and they can only give out 29 grants. They try to level the training field so that we have a geographic distribution. We've got some new grantees. This time we have 4 new grantees. We've got some returning grantees. We've got people who have had fantastic programs. And I wish the program was much bigger than it is, but you deal with what you have and the resources you have. We always tell, and we're going to talk about this on February 1st, we always tell people who have not gotten that first year grant, that is not uncommon. Often, many of the alumni here will say, oh, we submitted a grant. We didn't get it. SWA, I think you submitted it for 3 years. I think you tried 3 times. So there are times when you're just not quite there. The idea is, and I'm going to be plugging HMTRI, but we come to the all grantee meeting that we have in May, come to the PLCs, and more important than that, learn from the other grantees who are our mentors who are here today, and come to these because they are the people that know how to get these grants, how to make them work. And basically, don't feel uncomfortable to latch on. And one of the reasons we like to introduce people like this is don't feel uncomfortable to latch on someone you feel you could work with to help you. The city of Pittsburgh, California has helped 3 grantees in California get their grants. And they got in and they said, well, this works for us. Have you done this? Have you done that? You better stay away from this. Now, we try to talk about these things in the PLC, but you people, the 25 people on the call today, you are boots on the ground, and there are no more experts out there than you because you've done it, you've been there, you know what works, and of course, you know what doesn't work because we've all done those things. So the idea of these PLC sessions is to get together, talk about what works, what doesn't work, so what to stay away from, what to caution, and ideas on what you can do. So again, whether it's Katie or anyone else out there that didn't get the positive news, don't fret about it. The beautiful thing about this program is it's an annual program. Now, we haven't gotten the details on when, where, how much, and for what number of years it's going to happen. I don't know if any of our regional people are in a position to shed light on that, but we're being optimistic and saying there's going to be some sort of a re-up this year. There's always been. And as soon as we know when that's going to be, every 2 weeks, we'll guide you through how to respond to that RFA. The RFAs don't change a whole lot from year to year. They do on 20,000 feet up, it's going to be 5 years instead of 3 years. It's going to be 500,000 versus 200,000. But when you get down to the evaluation criteria, they've been pretty constant for the last couple of decades. I mean, the same things we're going to be talking about, the PLCs, are the same things you need to do to write a winning proposal. So again, stick with it. And it's an important message we want to get across. These introductions are more than just everyone announcing themselves. I wanted to get you some ideas of what's been happening. We're going to talk in a Connect newsletter about where you go from here. We'll talk about that in the future. In summation, we had 4 new grantees. We had 2 returning grantees. The total was 29 grantees, a little over $14 million. If you take the grantees from 2020 to 2023, which haven't started yet, there'll be 59 of us. Now, the 2020 grantees are, let's say we're operating on fumes, are kind of phasing out. But then we had 14 in 2021, which are going to be real important, and the 21 grantees to get an application into the next one. We had 8 in 2022, and we want to get them going. So in addition to new grantees coming along, we got about 30 grantees. We're going to be sending out surveys and kind of holding their hands and, are you planning on applying? And let's see what we can do to get you in. So while the new program isn't set up yet, as soon as we find out more, we're going to pass it on in these sessions. So with that, I've really combined a couple of sections all in this one. Is there anyone I missed that would like to introduce themselves? Okay, well, good. We have the privilege today of talking to, and it's a little bit of a theme here. The last couple PLCs from last year, we talked to LA Conservation Corps. We talked to OAI, that was our last one, out of Chicago. And the theme of these were, it was land conservancy, stewardship, environmental stewardship. We've got all kinds of grantees. We've got grantees who are, okay, we're training to remove asbestos, or we're training to remove lead because there's a lot of lead in our community, or we're recycling. And the common thread on all these is there is hazardous materials in brownfields in all these areas. This last one, and we're going to talk about Landforce today, this is land stewardship. And it's a little bit askew to what some people think about in hardcore remediation. It's about going into our communities and looking at the property that's a mess. It may have hazardous materials on it. It may have all kinds of waste. How could we give back to the community, clean up that waste in a responsible way, and return it to some sort of productive use? So with that, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Thomas and his team. Thomas, you could introduce your team, and he's got a PowerPoint for us. Are there any questions before we go on to Thomas about what we talked about this morning so far? Anything anyone would like to know, or questions like, where does EPA stand on this, or what's happening? We pass on everything we learn and can learn from EPA when the next RFA may come out, what amounts may be, and we'll just keep you informed as we are. Okay, well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Thomas, and Steve is going to share screen.
I already have. Thomas, you should be able to share screen. There you go.
Thomas, you want to introduce your team?
Yeah, I've got with me our workforce development director, Jasmine Cooper here. And we are happy to be here and happy to present this to you. Just so everybody knows, we were working up through our lunch break on this presentation today. So trying to get this buttoned up for everybody here so that you have the best learning experience you possibly can. Oh, we got to go over that, huh? There we go. All right.
Everybody can see our screen good?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, so Landforce is a workforce development organization that does land stewardship work around the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County here in Pennsylvania. So we're going to give you an overview, and then we're going to dive in a little bit deeper on some of the things that make our program magical. Some questions we get asked a whole lot about, how we pull this off, what the secret sauce is. And we don't like to look at any of this as proprietary. So we are happy to share these slides with us, and then we'll both be available, with our email addresses at the end of the presentation. So you can reach out to us later if you have any follow-up questions. So our tagline is investing in people and restoring the land. And we'd like to put investment in people first. And that's what we really are. We are kind of being aiming to be a people-centric organization here, and using people and their power, their work ethic, their desire to be involved in their community to help address some of the land stewardship issues that we have here in our area. So what does that mean to invest in people while restoring land? Jasmine, why don't you talk about this workforce readiness stuff?
Sure. So on the workforce development side, when we mean invest in people, we mean doing things like the weekly one-on-one meetings that our work readiness manager does. we mean training soft skill development to our crew members who come through our doors. We do definitely teach some good hard skills as well. And we help them with that job searching and that on-the-job experience that gets them ready for what's ahead after Landforce.
So all the while, we're making these investments in people through a one-on-one touch base with everybody, talking about their barriers and how we can work beyond those and set some goals. We're also working on land stewardship projects that include habitat restoration and reforestation, trail construction, vacant lot management, green infrastructure maintenance, and placemaking. So just a couple of quick facts here. You can read through these. I'm not going to bother reading them all to you right now. But you know, we like to count on our success as part of why we're here and speaking with you today. So knowing where we came from, how we started, that's all part of our story. And so as much as it's part of our backstory, we're here to tell you about our future today. So I'll give you another minute to scan over some of this stuff and then all right, so wrapping up here and moving on. So in the past 7 years, we've been able to bring on 125 trainees, and out of our training program, we've hired 106 of them as full-time crew members. We've been able to provide over 2,000 hours of job coaching and 18,000 hours of training. Our completion rate, our average completion rate for training is 82%, and for transitional employment is 72%. So that's where that number is different between 125 and 106. We are hiring people to go through our training program, which is a paid opportunity. And then from there, we hire the best people out of that training program to work on our contract season, where they accrue additional resources from us, additional coaching, and additional training. Of those finishers, 94% are applying for jobs during their tenure with us. 92% have at least one job interview before they leave Landforce, and 84% were offered jobs or went into industry training within 2 weeks of the season's end. 100% of our 2020 and 2021 respondents were still employed 12 months out, all with raises. So our average wages went from $15.90 to $19.13 an hour for our 2020 and 2021 cohorts. In those 7 years, we've contributed over 55,000 hours of environmental stewardship to our region, with more than $1 million in earned contract revenue coming from 30 distinct partnerships. So our partnerships play a big role in everything that we do. Jasmine will speak more about that, and I'll speak more about that later. But if you're asking about our secret sauce, we're going to tell you it's partnerships. You need to learn how to work with others, identify other stakeholders in your area that will help you achieve your workforce development goals, and also be able to support you with projects, with training, with job placement assistance, and all sorts of resources that your people and your operation are going to need. Why we are doing this here in Pittsburgh is because we're often quoted as being one of the most livable cities in the United States, but we have to ask, most livable for whom? So you can see on the left-hand side, we've got our city of Pittsburgh averages based against the averages of the greater Hazelwood neighborhood. It's actually 2 different neighborhoods put together. And you can see the disparity when it comes to the broad amount of people in our city based on and versus a neighborhood that is primarily Black and brown people and suffering from disinvestment. The greater Hazelwood area is a former steel mill community. There's a brownfield there, the former Jones and Laughlin steel plant, which is now the Alamano site or the Hazelwood Green site. So Uber has a test track there. There's a couple other research facilities for robotics that are there, but that's not really benefiting that neighborhood. So we go from this historically vibrant working class neighborhood all of a sudden to a gentrifying neighborhood where people who have lived there for multiple generations are no longer able to afford to live there as these technological companies and research places come into play in their neighborhood and really start to price people out. So we look at our work as an investment in neighborhoods, We look at it as an equalizer. And when we have projects in the greater Hazelwood neighborhood, and we've got 3 different contracts there, we like to target those neighborhoods for recruitment for our program. We don't want to see anyone left behind, and we understand that the greatest need happens in these rapidly gentrifying neighborhoods here in Pittsburgh. So when we're talking about this most livable city for whom, we have to wonder what our justice system has to do with that. So our Allegheny County jail population is 67% Black, even though our Allegheny County population as a whole is less than 13% Black. Within Pittsburgh, the Black population is around 23%, but according to the Abolitionist Law Center's report, Black residents in 2019 experienced 69% of all searches and seizures made without a warrant and 63% of all arrests by the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police. A 2018 report found that Black teens in Allegheny County were 20 times more likely to be charged with adults compared to white teens. The disparities continue. A 2020 study conducted by the researchers at the University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon and the Allegheny County Health Department found that the region's most polluted census tracts are often in poor and minority neighborhoods, while those census tracts with the cleanest air tend to be in wealthier and whiter neighborhoods. This results in a higher rate of air pollution-related deaths from coronary heart disease in poor and minority neighborhoods. So we're talking about the justice system having disparities. We're talking about disparities in pollution and economic opportunities. And so we try to be an interrupter to those cycles and also an equalizer to those cycles of disparity.
So another part of the workforce development piece is that, you know, in Landforce in whole, is that we're really working to push past these barriers that the crew members that come in our doors have. And the heart of what we do is we want to get you a job. So while we are an employment, we do pay you for training. We do pay you once the training is over. The idea is to help you to get a sustainable, family sustainable wage paying job. So some of the barriers to employment include mental health, homelessness, justice involvement, and addiction history. And each of those 4 barriers, we have a certain way that we want to help to address and eliminate those barriers for folks. So things like with mental health, we have restorative practices, which is a conflict resolution training. And then we also have someone come in and train on mental health and the impacts of trauma. Now, the picture that you all see here is a class that is being held for restorative practices. As you can see, it's very informal. Everyone kind of just sits around and talks, but it's so powerful and impactful that you leave feeling different. You leave feeling lighter, and you leave with a different perspective. For homelessness, some folks come in and either experience homelessness when they come in. Thomas and I have actually interviewed folks who have been homeless at the time of interview, and then things happen, right? Life happens. So even folks might get homeless during the time of working with us. So we work with Allegheny Link, and we also work with the Financial Empowerment Center to try to help put money management forward and to help link you or link the crew member with different resources in and around Allegheny County. For justice involvement, we do work closely with probation and parole officers all across Allegheny County. We will hire straight out of the probation and parole office, and we'll get into that in a couple slides. And then for addiction history, not only do we support and encourage things like meetings, allowing time and space for assistance with following through with whatever their sobriety plan is, but we also create a drug-free environment. So drugs and alcohol are not permitted, and we have a zero tolerance for that. I want to talk a little bit about our hiring process. So when you find out about Landforce and it piques your interest, we will offer you to come in for an interview. Now, we have a 3-step interview process. The first piece is that it's a panel interview, and it consists of Thomas and myself, and that is just informal. You know, we just kind of get to know you and see and tell you about Landforce and what we do. Once that's over, and as long as you are interested and you pass that part, we offer a working interview. Now, this one is an on-site experience. So that candidate will be commuted to a green space in Allegheny County to do some hands-on work, you know, and that's just to get a feel for the day-to-day position at Landforce. And then there's also a workforce development task where we ask folks to bring a library book And this book will usually talk about a skill or a job that they're interested in or want to learn more about. Now, the reason why we ask that is because it already sets the tone for the workforce development piece, where it leaves room for our work readiness manager to speak with that particular crew member on helping to set their short and long-term goals. Now, we definitely want to give a great shout out to some of the people who help Landforce be Landforce. We have amazing recruitment partners such as Garfield Jubilee, Operation Better Block, and there's a ton more. Big shout out to Auberly. There are a ton more listed here, and even some of your wonderful faces on this call today. And then we also have some training partners who we love, who come in and give us just what we need to help our crew members be successful. Restorative practices is the picture you all saw on the previous slide. We also work with the Financial Empowerment Center again. And then a few I didn't mention, Healthy Eating on a Budget, which is super awesome. We work with the Pitt Department of Nutrition located in and around our neighborhood. And we do mock interviewing with various partners where people will come in and give our crew members a mock interview to get them prepared for what an interview will actually look like. There's a few more there, and I don't want to sound robotic by reading everything, but you can also get certifications, restorative practices, and A-game work ethic certification as well. Landforce can't be Landforce without funding. So Thomas and I will talk a little about that, but we've been a recipient of the PA Department of Labor and Industry support as transitional employment, and that's through Partner for Work. That was for 2020, 21, and 22. And we've also received some support from the DHS through SNAP 50/50. That's been since 2019. And then additionally, we've received 2 U.S. EPA agency brownfield mediation workforce development multi-year grants. Thank you, EPA. And then we have foundation-based funding for projects, trainings, and operation expenses. All right, so my favorite training is the A-game training. So I want to talk a little bit about what that looks like. So some of the trainings we offer in the soft skills department is what's listed in front of you. Now, bring your A game. It talks about the 7 A's, and I've listed them as attitude, attendance, appearance, ambition, acceptance, appreciation, and accountability. Now, I think these 7 A's are just what you need to be successful. And so the curriculum teaches on what that is and what it looks like when you're starting a new job, or even just on your day-to-day life. We have pre-workday preparation, understanding human resources, completing timesheets, effective and professional phone, email, and in-person communication, which is really, really big. We have anti-harassment, chain of command, so that folks understand who to go to when you need to go to someone. And then again, we have the financial literacy, healthy eating on a budget, as well as driver's license training. So if folks come in and they have a barrier of not having their driver's license, and it could be for many reasons, especially one that I experienced myself, just not having access to a vehicle. Well, as long as you get your permit, we'll pay for you to go to driving school. So you'll come in without a driver's license, but once you leave Landforce, you'll have one. We also hold our crew members accountable. So during the season, our crew members meet weekly with our work readiness manager, who will give each and every one of them that hour to hour and a half career coaching. So she's setting these short and long-term goals with them and assisting them with accomplishing those goals. And that allows them to eliminate any of the barriers that they may have to move on. Once our season is over, our work readiness manager will keep in contact with that former crew member for month 1, 2, 3, 6, 12, and 18. These check-ins are very vital because not only do they help to address any issues and concerns that may have arisen, but it also addresses the wins and the accomplishments that folks had once Landforce is over. Just a little bit about our hiring partners. We have Ike&Lock, Planscape, DPW, PWSA, and Davy Tree. Now, this picture here is one of our past crew members who actually left during the middle of the season to get a job as a tree climbing trainee with Davy Tree, and he absolutely loves the job. I just talked to him 2 days ago and he can't stop raving about it. So some of our successes from last year, just a quick cap, we do look to hire 25 folks a year. And you know, that we come in with 25, life happens and the numbers dwindle down. At the end of our year last year, our season, we had 11 people complete their tenure, 10 of them interviewed for jobs, 5 of them left for jobs, 4 of them were offered jobs within the first 2 weeks of the season ending, and 1 is currently waiting to be called back from an employer. 1 of them continues to work with us so that we can help that particular person find a family sustainable wage job. And the average is that when you complete with us, you're making $16.63. That was the highest, or with the highest being $24.50 and the lowest being $14.50. So that $16.63 was like the high, like the medium.
So Jasmine talked about all of our partners that help make the workforce development program the success that it is. We also have a lot of project partners that help make our contract year success. So we're working with everybody from land trust organizations, community groups, municipalities, municipal authorities, private developers, everybody. So, you know, this is just a very short list of a lot of the people we've worked with over the past year. And this covers all of our different project types. So when we start to make these partnerships and these sort of like contract opportunities with organizations, we often have to ask them, what sort of skill sets do you need us to train on to make sure that we work on your project to the level that you expect? And oftentimes that comes with a cooperative agreement where an organization might do a little bit of training with us in trade for a cheaper contract price. And that's just one way we make things work out, both on the financial end, but in the partnership building end, so that the people that are hiring us feel invested in the lives of our crew members, as well as our crew members feeling invested in the project work that they're doing. So our green infrastructure projects for just this year, we worked on 3. We had 26 rain gardens, 12 bioswales, 117 tree pits, and 106 bump outs. And I can't see that number of super greats because the screen is in the way. 68 super greats. You can see me there on the bottom left. Yes, it is cold, it was wet, and we're getting leaves out of these filters so that we don't get a lot of sediment inside of our green stormwater management systems. Trail building and maintenance. We worked on 8 of those projects in 2022, where we maintained or constructed 14.2 miles of trail. We did a 1,000-foot trail reroute. 29 box steps were constructed. We installed 6 drainage features and
well.
1 16-foot bridge.
Okay.
Invasive plant management and reforestation, that's another one of our project types. We had 5 of those projects in 2022 where we cleared 1.7 acres of invasives, planted 100 trees, and 1/10 of an acre was seeded. On the right-hand side, that plant that you see, that's a bush honeysuckle. That is one of the major invasives that we are removing in a project site and reforesting those areas to renaturalize a green space as it transitions into a park here in the city of Pittsburgh, actually in the neighborhood of Hazelwood, which we mentioned earlier. Vacant lots and placemaking. We had 5 of these projects in 2022. That was 36 acres of vacant land that we managed. Some of those were brownfield sites, and 25 garden beds were constructed and installed during this time. The photo on the left-hand side, there was a lot that's connecting a street that's an easy pass through, a shortcut through a neighborhood that goes right to a community park. So no longer will residents and kids feel like they're cutting through this vacant lot. There's now this lot that has a trail, little trail that goes through it. There's some planting. It's much easier to pass through. And it's a way to connect one side of the neighborhood that was cut off from this public park and playground so that there's more accessibility. So our trainings and certifications. We rely a lot on outside trainers to come in and help us, but we do a lot of things internally as well. So the land stewardship staff will assist in a lot of these trainings. But as far as our outside trainers go, game of logging, chainsaw training, that's an outside trainer. OSHA HAZWOPER, that's an outside trader. For tree tender certification, we use an organization here in Pittsburgh called Tree Pittsburgh. And then we do a lot of contract work for them as well. With green infrastructure and our national green infrastructure certification program, we partner with the Penn State Cooperative Extension for that. Same with the spotted lanternfly identification and reporting. That's a huge invasive pest problem here in the Pittsburgh area and in Pennsylvania. And then most of the rest of these, it's a mix of internal and external trainers to make sure that we get our crew members capacity built so they're safe and they're effective on work sites. So whether that's the trail building and maintenance work, first aid CPR training, we're doing basic carpentry and construction work, how to best manage certain invasive plants, our tool identification, safety, body mechanics. That's a big one. We want to prevent people from getting injuries from swinging a tool too wildly or not having the right foot positioning and suffering from a fall. We go over a lot of work site safety with tailgate talks and a lot of COVID safety on the work site, making sure that our infection numbers are non-existent or stay low and we don't lose any time on projects or lose any people to illnesses. So what do our crew members have to say about this experience? This is one of those times in every presentation where I back off and I do not read these because I have a connection to the people that said this, and I gonna admit it, I end up crying when I try to read through some of these. So I'm just gonna let you guys have the run of the screen here and just kind of review what some of the feedback we received over the years is. All right, so moving on here. What we want to let you know is that, again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We want to see you get involved. And get involved comes from our senior site supervisor, Sean. Sean was a former crew member our very first season, and he's worked his way up. And this is his saying, this is the way he gets people to stop leaning on their tools and actually start working. He tells them, get involved. So our message here to you is get involved. Get off the sidelines. And if you're looking at getting involved in workforce development and land stewardship training and how to put those together, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you. Jasmine, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think we covered it.
I think we do.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to pass it back over to you guys for any questions that you might have.
Thomas will pass those PowerPoints on to me, and we'll include them in this week's notes, so you'll be able to look at them at your leisure. Are there any questions? It's interesting. Would you consider yourself a social enterprise organization?
Yeah.
Very similar to.
We're coupling a social need with making money and having a self-sustaining program. So all of our contract wages go towards our crew members' wages.
Any questions?
I see one here about our connection with Urban Conservation Corps. We do consider ourselves a conservation corps. However, because of our social enterprise mission, we're not involved in that system completely yet.
Yeah, Thomas and Jasmine, I had a question, and maybe I just missed it in your presentation. But if you look at your population of people that you're training and impacting, do you have a rough idea of what that split is between people who are returning from criminal justice system versus people who are returning from, say, drug or substance abuse, rehab, versus people who are simply underserved and not necessarily have one of the social problems, but just hadn't worked before, hadn't worked at this kind of capacity and are coming in? Do you have any idea of how your cohorts divide up?
So that's something that changes by year. Jasmine's going to try to see if she has that number for you, so we can move on. We'll do some other questions and then circle back to you with an answer.
Yeah, I don't need an exact number. I was just wondering about,
I would say it's well over half of our crew members are formally incarcerated. And then as far as, other barriers go, there's self-reporting a high instance of mental health or previous drug or alcohol addiction issues. And Jasmine has the numbers right here.
Yeah. So let's just focus on last year, 2022 season. So we had 73% of our population that had mental health, 36% had an addiction history, 18% experienced homelessness, and 73% were justice involved. Now, from 2016 to 2022, the numbers do fluctuate. I do want to mention that last year was the highest number for each category that we've had, with 2016 being the lowest, 33% mental health, 25% addiction history, 17% homelessness, and 33% justice involved. So the numbers have fluctuated throughout, but last year was definitely the highest.
Okay, and I'm sorry, that last number for the past year for justice involved?
73%.
Thank you.
Yes.
There's a question in the chat from Sarah McKee about how long our cohorts last. We start our recruitment process now. So our applications will go live on January 30th. By the beginning of March, we're going to start holding our interviews. From the panel interviews, we're going to move seamlessly on to working interviews. And from there, at the end of March, I believe it's the last full week of March, we'll bring in all of our trainees to start a 7-week training. From there, we'll hire people on. So that puts us at the end of April at that point. This past year, we were able to keep people working until the day before Thanksgiving. So able to hold on to people for about 5.5, 6 months doing contract work. So as long as we have the contract opportunities, then we can keep people around and keep them working, and gives us a little bit extra time to match people with their next careers.
Looks like Paul, you have a question?
Yes, and I had to step away for several minutes to attend some needs here. And you may have mentioned it, but I know we're also a social enterprise, and our workforce has a lot of challenges. And that correlates to a certain injury rate. Okay. And so how are you managing that side of it? From either lost
like on
time
work
accident
sites?
or
We don't want to bring it because things can happen, and I'm knocking very hard on wood.
Yeah.
But well, Thomas, you're out there often.
Yeah, we've been very lucky with not having a lot of serious injuries per se. Sprained ankles, stubbed fingers, bee sting. I think bee stings might be our highest rate of injury. I've been stung in the armpit on a work site, and that's an uncomfortable situation, right? But yeah, so I'd say it's usually minor stuff, nothing really serious. You know, it could be something as innocuous as someone jumping out of the back of the truck and just kind of jamming up their back for a day. But haven't had a lot of serious injuries. We do stress safety, and especially when it comes time to using our more dangerous tools, chainsaws specifically. We are very safety first. So making sure that we're vetting people's ability and their confidence in the first place, but also just their safety habits. Now, before I hand a chainsaw off to somebody on a work site, you know, I'm kind of running through a couple quick questions, kind of getting, you know, making sure all their senses are there, making sure I'm not dealing with bloodshot or dilated pupils, you know, that sort of thing. So just an initial sort of safety check and making sure that, you know, people are aware of what the situation is. And then the way we talk about it within our first aid and CPR stuff is that I'm certified for your benefit. If something happens to you, I know how to manage that situation, and you need to be certified for my benefit. If something happens to me, I want you to be able to take care of me. So we look at safety as a all hands on deck sort of situation, and we've been extremely lucky in avoiding any serious injuries.
Yeah, that's good. I know with us, it's just a lot of similar related items, cuts, sprains, you know, those type of things. But sometimes as the frequency increases, and our main focus is 18 to 24-year-olds, which have a tendency to have a lot more what I'll call distractions.
Yep.
And so that's very good on the safety focus first. What's your average age, I guess, for your population?
We're 18 and up. Our average age, you have the.
We started 18, yeah, 18 and up, and then we had a group of folks who are like 18, between 18 and 24, and then it kind of jumps up to 33, up to, I think last year we had someone with 60.
Okay.
And we attribute that gap to the prime years for incarceration. That's what seems to happen. So, after that 24-year-old age group, we tend to lose a lot of people that would be in that demographic because they are incarcerated during that time. So we are a service that is pre those trouble years and post those trouble years. Some of our older gentlemen that we've had in the past, love work. They love to be involved, in their body. They're trying real hard to keep up with it. And we have some young people that this is their first time off the couch without an Xbox controller in their hands. So, we've got a big varied capacity within people regardless of age.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? We will just insert your PowerPoint so everyone can take their time and read through it in more detail on the fine work you're doing. And it is interesting because Paul's program, your program, OAI, and LA Conservation Corps are a little askewed to the traditional remediation, hardcore OSHA courses that many of our grantees we've got, and that's the beauty of this program. We're crossing the boundaries across all things that impact disadvantaged neighborhoods that have brownfields in them. And this part of it is one in early years we really didn't address. This whole idea of service to community, remediation, stewardship of our communities that are polluted or may be polluted. And thank you very much for this presentation. We enjoyed it. And again, any other questions? And we'll pass on their contact information. I assume it would be all right if they touch base with you when they have additional questions about your program.
Yeah, absolutely. Please feel free to get in touch. We'd love to talk to you.
Well, thank you. Well, our next PLC is going to be February 1st. We're going to talk about more about moving forward in this program and about working, part of finishing up some work we were doing in terms of screening people and fitness for duty. So we'll be looking forward to that in February, and everyone who's on the list will get an invite Monday before the meeting. So thank you, everybody. Any other things that anyone would like to say? Okay, great. Well, have a good 2 weeks. And again, Thomas and company, thank you very much. Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Steve, now you could stop the recording.
Okay, let's see.